Welcome back to Cafe Community. My third guests tonight are the two founders of a unique women's group in our community, the Garden Goddesses. And so I'm very delighted to introduce to you, on my left is Laura Beavers, and on her left is Susan Gouveia. And thank you so much for being on the show. They're with Garden Goddesses. This is I'll start with you, Laura. Yes. This is a new group that's just been formed in the last few months.
That's correct. Susan and I started walking together, and she has a passion. It's actually Susan's kind of idea. Okay. And she has a passion for gardening, and she has a very big garden, actually. And I offered to help, and then she decided to create this group. She says, wouldn't it be great if we just got a bunch of women together? And since then, we've kind of invited friends, and they invited friends, and now we have this nice community.
The word grew.
Yes.
So Susan, you planted a seed, it sounds like.
And it grew, yes.
And it's just women. Are most of them seasoned gardeners, or are a lot of them first-timers trying to get into sustainability?
We have everybody, and it's so great because we have people show up that say, I've always dreamed of having a garden, and then we have seasoned gardens that have tilled acres of land by hand.
Right.
We've got some pretty strong women in the group.
So you're learning by sharing information.
Absolutely.
And you have get-togethers, dinners.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Yes. And we put a little page on, or a group on Facebook. So we announce when the next meeting will be. It's actually the first Thursday or second Thursday of every month, correct?
Pretty much.
Yes, and once in a while we have to switch it around. But and people bring food, and we talk about the food we're growing, and it's been amazing.
How many? I want to say members. It's free though, right? I mean,
Yes.
whoever wants to participate. So how many active members do you have?
Let's see, we had 30 at the last dinner,
Oh my
over
gosh.
30. Yeah, so active, I would say over 50, and then there's about 150 women who want to eventually come to one of the dinners, or they live out of the areas.
I'm the 151 person want to come.
And then we have other communities asking us to go and help them set up garden clubs as well.
Excellent. Oh, I think this is very exciting. Well, let's get into some of the show and tell stuff that you brought. Let's start with the table over there on Susan's left. And so what are those little tidbits?
Well, I know you wanted us to talk about budget gardening,
Yes.
so we came with some money-saving ideas. And the first one, I have a tray of herbal teas that you can grow in your own backyard. A lot of people don't realize that they have teas growing in their yard, like the wild blackberry leaf you can dry and make into a tea, and it's really good.
Oh my gosh,
The
yes.
lemon balm, lavender, peppermint, and spearmint. You know, a lot of people have that growing in their yard, and they don't realize they can make a tea. The other plate is a plate of edible weeds. So it's a lot of people think they've got all these weeds in the yard and they're trying to get rid of them, but a lot of them are filled with iron and calcium, and like the chickweed and grape leaves. There's some borage, arugula flowers, which are edible.
Oh, good to know.
Pea shoots, sorrel, radish tops.
I just learned that over the weekend.
Yeah.
I finally get radishes growing after all the snow and cold, and they're only like an inch. But see, and as you thin them, that's a great use for, as you're thinning like radishes and other sprouts, to be able to use them, eat them.
Absolutely.
Great idea. Tell us about what's in here, this little black box
bin.
mystery. The bin. Please, is it live? I guess I should have asked.
There
I
is
feel like
something
Johnny
live in
Carson
there.
waiting for
This
the...
is actually a worm composting bin that one of our friends have made, and was boasting about it at our party, and actually got a lot of people excited about doing some composting themselves.
Okay.
So Susan thought it would be great to just show what it is. It's just a regular plastic container that someone has actually placed air holes in.
Oh.
And basically
I
what...
can take this.
Yeah.
So let me see, I'm not afraid.
No, she likes the dirt.
So
oh my gosh,
there's all
there are squigglies.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're making all this
red
wonderful
wigglers.
rich soil.
And basically what you do is you take your regular garden or your scraps from the kitchen, you throw them in this box with the worms, and they go to town.
So scraps from the kitchen, put it in a plastic bin, a little bit of dirt.
And you actually have to start with some bedding. You need some newspaper or straw, something that's been shredded up that the worms can go in and out of, and it needs to be slightly damp. So like the moisture of a wrung out sponge. And they...
Now, is this leftover dinner here?
yes, there you go.
Okay.
There's an apple
Now,
for you.
there's a reusable, not wasting anything, making good use of leftover scraps and whatever. Oh.
Yes, and then what the friend actually has holes on the bottom as well, and she places a tray on the bottom. And there is juice that actually comes down from the compost, and you can make a compost tea, which helps fertilize your plants.
Oh my gosh.
So you get several uses.
And then with this, once it's mulched and kind of, I mean, at what point do you know it's ready?
Well, this looks pretty good right now, to be honest with you.
Yes, it looks very rich and
when
dark.
it starts looking like dirt, you know you're good. And it takes a couple of months to get here, you know. And it takes about 2 pounds of worms for every 1 pound of food you have.
2 pounds of
But you saw how little they are. So, and this is, you know, and it doesn't smell, so you can put your stuff. If you do have a smelling problem, there's something else going on you need to kind of take care of.
Oh, like my cat's using it for a litter box or something.
Well, hopefully you keep the lid on.
A lid on. Then you can plant with that, or does it go on top of planting material? Like if you're going to do potted gardening, like I'm trying to do. Does it go on top, or can you use that as
You would want to mix it in with your soil.
It's pretty rich.
Yeah.
It's rich.
Right.
But leave the worms out, right?
Yes. And there's actually a whole method to it as well. There's a lot online that you can find, but they have little strategies that you take the worms or the material that you're placing in the box and putting them in certain corners so that you can take out certain corners at different times without disturbing the worms.
And keep the rest going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
kind of like rotating, or so you always have a series, I guess, of usable dirt.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot for me to catch up on. I can tell right now. It's going to be winter by the time I get to my gardening. But so people can find you on Facebook, Grass Valley Organic Gardening Group, right? Or they can call Susan at 831-277-3961. So thank you so much for coming on the show. This is exciting. And yes, I'm going to try to get to one of those dinners and get up to speed. I think I'm going to need just an orientation first before I get my hands.
Oh, and it's so fun. We have so many people just like you.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm one
good.
of them.
It's a little support group going. Good. All right. So we're going to close out the show. Stick around while we close out with the credits.
Okay.
And thank you for coming on, Susan and Laura.
Thank you.
See you around. And thank you for joining us tonight on the debut of Cafe Community. We're here every Monday, and take a look at the credits and listen to Saul Rayo's Take Me Down to the River. Really, Cafe Community rocks.
Take me down to the river. Take me down.